very simple. On the comparative, someone who is born with hyperthymesia is going to have considerably more choices or the ability to make expanded choices that someone on the other side would not have. What does this look like? This is probably like remembering significant amount of memories from the past in terms of quantity, but also the nuance to which you can remember them, right? You have this almost uncanny ability to relive these instances to help form your decision-making calculus, but also just recall factoids of information that are often forgotten in the vast, millions of dendrites that your human brain has. Why do people prefer certain things over others? This is the premise that we're going to build our case upon. No outcome for an average person is automatically good or bad. Rather, they are hinged on preferences, and not all of these preferences are equally valuable. So it may be the case that one person who is born with HMAS can use this to memorize entire textbooks and become really, really smart, and others are probably not going to use this talent at all. It doesn't matter. The core belief is that the inherent valuable thing in this process is the ability to even have that choice or expand the choices made for an average person. Utility just doesn't exist in a vacuum. Not everyone is going to be better or worse off because of a certain chain of events in their life. The important thing is the ability to make meaningful choices over how to conduct and optimize your future. Ergo, we should enshrine these preferences over anything else. The case from opening government is going to provide a case onto how we not only enshrine these preferences, but better equip people to expand choices that often constrain the way their life is going to be led. What are the largest constraints of choice in the status quo, and how does hyperthymesia affect them? First, financially, i.e., money is required to satisfy many prerequisites of any human sensation, right? Food, water, shelter, but also material benefits that bring a lot of people happiness. If I buy a Gucci belt, I'm going to be significantly happier. Sure, maybe that's like shallow, but I want the ability to make that choice. Money also enables you to access certain lifestyles, right? I.e., if I want to drop out and become a YouTube star, right? My ability to not even access those financial prerequisites means that there's a large constraint in my life. Secondly, on time. Often you waste valuable amounts of time in terms of not knowing information or having to learn something that could be better used in another world. And finally, access to information. I want to make sure that a choice is not valuable if it is made at random. We place a premium on informed choices because we only make choices that enshrine our preferences, whether it be happiness or contentedness. A greater ability to guarantee those specific preferences means our choices become more valuable. Based off of this analysis and through that lens, how do we expand choices for the average person who is born with hyperthymesia? First, on economic success. These are going to be vastly increased. In the world and society that we live in, capital is often and most easily amassed by wage labor. The main factors that go into this process are you being able to land a job that gives you money to access these preferences. And secondly, the time required to do this job, even if you have the money to do so, how you're going to maximize your preferences based off of the lack of time that people have. Now, getting a job is just very reductive. So we're going to expand a little bit on this. It is not only dependent on where you were born or what school you're able to go to, but most often we think it is a person with HMAS is more likely to land a job with more money and maximize the ability of choices they're able to make. First, opportunities are generally determined in life in terms of what you can control by academic performance or interviews. All of these things are heavily tied to how much you can remember, whether it's standardized testing or recitation of information in an interview. It allows you to do very easily many of these things that often predicate success. Secondly, many cognitive barriers just exist in terms of success, regardless of how much hard work you put in, right? This takes away control you have. If you are randomly born with like a learning disability where you can memorize less information or have ADHD, these significantly hamper your ability to access these same choices. Why does HMAS solve, or why is memory often the most contributing factor to these outcomes? Two main reasons. First, academic performance is often based on how much information you're able to regurgitate. And secondly, learning is based on prior knowledge in almost any field. Insofar as you can recall earlier things that you learned, it makes it significantly easier to learn new things that build upon these foundations. Impact are significantly more likely to get a good job, a good education, and interview better, which neatly segues into the second part of our case on time. Even if you want to succeed on their side of the house, memorization is often necessary, just rote memorization. The problem is memorizing things for the average person makes a significant amount of time. Why? Three reasons. First, the average brain just processes and retains information quite slowly as an empirical and biological fact. Secondly, there's simply just a vast wealth of information that you need to remember in almost any field. Finally, relearning specific concepts just takes a shit ton of time. It wastes your ability to make other choices that you could be doing. As rational agents, we make any of these decisions based off of prior information. And with the same goal of earlier in terms of enshrining these preferences, we are limited in terms of our capacity to catalog all this relevant information in our lives. At the ability that we can minimize time, maximize financial choices, and overall enshrine those preferences that are closest to us, we're going to be winning this debate. Before I move on, I will take closing.
So if you have self-selected into caring about your economic well-being as a person, why can't you just dedicate yourself to these things to a significant extent, meaning that it's probably quite symmetric, the kind of economic benefits that you can access?
Yeah, we just said you can't just self-select into having really good memory or being like really smart because our academic system is like dependent on archaic testing systems, right? I think doing better on an interview or going to a good college, all these outcomes are often predicated by like, an impressive ability to have a good memory. We think those are likely to expand your success in the fields that you choose to pursue. And, when you expand success, you also expand choice. And if you don't want to dedicate yourself to economic success, that's fine. We're not going to say like, those people are the major meat of this debate. We think the ability to have those choices is the inherently valuable thing. Finally, why do we give people the capacity to make more informed choices? I already premised this based on the fact that informed choices are more inherently valuable than uninformed choices because they guarantee a more likelihood towards satisfying those preferences. Why do you think information is useful to making decisions? Two main ones. First, the past is often a very good predictor of the future. For example, events are causal, i.e., one thing often leads to another. Secondly, events are repeatable. And thirdly, events tend to share parallels that you can draw lessons from. Now, I know Ella's going to come up and say, right, experience exists. You're not just going to like lose your past memory. But understanding the past is important in taking into account different factors that contribute toward making a decision in the first place, i.e., who you should vote for as president or who will make your life better, are often decisions that the average person does not have. Bad decisions and having regrets are the bane of a common person's life, specifically due to not having the specific access to information from what to order to lunch or which political leader is going to be better for you. We think you're less likely to make bad choices when you're able to draw on the vast wealth of information that you constantly encounter on a daily basis. I don't think it's like getting bogged down in the past or reliving bad experiences because all of those are symmetric on our side. You have good experiences and you have